Hey, this is Tony. I'm going to be giving you a little bit of an update on my UV exposure project. I've got quite a bit done on it since last time I posted. I've got the power supply mounted back here. It's a 24 volt 5 amp power supply. Got a LED matrix mounted. I've got the board for the other one made. I just have to drill the holes and get the LEDs mounted in it, and it'll go right next to my first LED matrix. And I was going to explain a little bit about what a UV exposer is used for in electronics. To make a printed circuit board, such as this one, there's several different ways you can do it, but the method I'm going to be using, which uses this UV exposer, involves a photosensitive process. And in this process, you start out with a copper clad board. I've got a single-sided copper-clad laminate board here. You clean the surface. You coat the surface with some type of photo etchant, photo resist. There's several types. There's spray-on. The particular type I'm going to be using comes in a film, and you can also buy pre-synthesized boards. So once you have your photosensitive film on here, and of course this all has to be done in a dark room because the film is sensitive to light, I would take my design, lay it in my UV exposer, which my design, by the way, is design I drew up on the computer and printed off on some transparencies, and then I laid the transparencies on a light table to line them up, glued them together using super glue. So I lay that down in my UV exposer. I would lay my board on top of it and close the lid and turn it on, and after it finished, on my board I would have the outline of my stencil here, and wherever the light hits the film, it hardens it. Once the film is hardened, I put it in a soda ash bath. The soda ash eats off the film that is not hardened. Once that's done, I rinse it and then put it in my etchant. I've got a bubbler to keep the fluid agitated and moving. The fluid in the etchant tank is 1 part muriatic acid, 2 parts hydrogen peroxide, and the hydrogen peroxide oxidizes the surface. Once the surface is oxidized, the muriatic acid eats away the copper. And that's actually why the solution is green, is because of the copper deposits left over in the acid. But I'm going to go ahead and give you a little demonstration of my UV exposer. So I have 2 basic modes. I have manual and auto. Go ahead and go into the manual mode. It says manual setting. I'm going to hit continue. Exposure time. This is how long the board will be exposed to the ultraviolet light. So I'm going to go ahead and set it on 8 seconds. The next screen says intensity, and this is the light intensity that the board will be exposed with. I'm going to go ahead and show you here. I can actually dim and brighten this matrix panel, and it's not flashing. The reason it looks like it's flashing is because the frame rate on the camera is actually lining up with the rate at which the LEDs are flashing. But if you look at it, it just looks like a smooth, solid dimmed light. So I can turn the brightness up. And So that's 99%. Going to back it back off a little bit. That's 12% brightness. So now I would be ready to put my board in. I would put my board in there, close the lid, hit start. The exposer is going to expose the 12% light at for 8 seconds and then kick off. So that's pretty much my UV exposer in a nutshell. The next step, of course, is to finish this board, get it mounted in there with the LED matrix, and then this is a prototyping board. It's just made to be able to get a working design very quickly. But now I'll actually have to go back in, and I'm going to build a small board to house this and 4 buttons, and that will be my controller for the project. And I'll post some pictures of that as soon as I get it done.